hey guys, how you doing? It's Henry at Mowers and Blowers. Good morning. As you saw from a previous episode, I decided to take this out and see if it would run. It has no compression, so I stopped working on it. Well, there's nothing to work on because if it's no compression, either the valves aren't moving, the camshaft lobes are worn so that's not moving the valves for compression. It's a flathead, so maybe the valves are out of spec, so you'd need to grind them. You think I'm going to go through all that trouble for this old horizontal Tecumseh, what I found out was HH60 engine that belonged on a tiller, a roto tiller. It had the electric start. I took it off, it worked, so I wanted to sell the starter on its own on eBay. It's worth about $50 or $80, something like that, you know. And then I tried to sell this thing locally on Craigslist, OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace to see if some nut would want it. I listed it for 50 bucks. I actually got a guy who was going to give me 30 for it. But then I thought about it, and the air cleaner cover's in really good shape. The recoil starter works, the cup on the inside, the flywheel I've seen for like $130. So I would make a lot more money if I took this thing apart and sold the parts on eBay separately. Also, I'm kind of curious as to why there's no compression. I want to take apart the engine completely and see whether or not is it because the piston rings are compressed in the piston and it's not getting any compression, connecting rod blown. I wanted to find out what was wrong with this engine. So it's the reason why I decided I'm going to whip it out today and tear it all apart. So I'm going to start off by taking the recoil starter off. I got this new tool from Dinshare. This is my first ratchet. I'm pretty excited. I've always wanted a ratchet. I just never got one. Now I got one. So I've got a 13 millimeter on here. I'm just going to remove the bolts. I see. Mission accomplished, just like that. So ratchets don't work like impacts, you know, where if it's super tight, it would be able to get it off. But actually, rather it works like an electric ratchet is what it is. It doesn't really impact, although the torque is very good. So very nice item. You guys should go check out that review. You guys saw from time lapse, remove the recoil starter, the air filter base and cleaner, the carburetor, the top head, cylinder head, and the ratchet would not turn the head bolts, of course, because it was too tight. So I had to use the ratchet. As you can see, now the piston and valves are exposed after I took off the spark plug and coil. And here we go. I'm gonna spin this and look at the piston. It is not moving. What does that mean? It means the connecting rod is busted. So now we know the problem. As you can see, the valves are actually moving. They're both moving. and this is supposed to be top dead center right here, and they're good because you're not able to turn them with your fingers. You can feel it's top dead center because there's a little groove right there. It stops right there. This is supposed to be top dead center right now. So that's it. Now we know what's wrong with it. Connecting rod's busted. Here's the governor, just came right off. I'm sorry, the governor linkage. I'm going to remove the muffler because it's kind of a cool muffler, and it's kind of rare too. You don't see too many of these for sale. These belong on this engine and also some certain 8 horsepower, I want to say 8 horsepower Tecumseh snowblower engines. But this Phillips one is so tight that my 1/4 inch won't budge it at all. See? But my 3/8 impact, I don't know how I'm going to put a screwdriver thing on there. So I think there's a chuck for that, but this is going to require an impact, not so much a screwdriver. Well, let's try a screwdriver anyway. Yeah, that's really on there. And this sometimes works. Oops, this sometimes works. I know you guys have tried this too. Ooh, that work or that strip? Yeah, that's stripped. So I don't know how I'm going to get that off. We'll see. So I'm going to continue to take this thing off. I'm going to take the flywheel off too. Can you believe it? I forgot to press the button to record time lapse. Anyway, so I took the flywheel off. It was easy with a crowbar. The surrounding plates, cylinder head, the cup, the surrounding tins to get to the sump cover. Now, I also removed, once I took the flywheel off, I noticed that there was a stator on here. This engine is a very, very high-end engine, because for it to have a stator on here, it means it was able to power like lights or something like that, or another accessory that this would as the flywheel is moving, this would generate electricity to power something else, such as lights. So that's kind of cool. It's an original stator. Also, as you can see, this is the original ignition coil that says Tecumseh on it. You know what I mean? That's pretty rare, and we know it works because it has spark. So those are cool items right there. When I got to the sump cover, there was no bolts here. There's no sump bolts. So somebody's been in here, and it had these galvanized type bolts on there, which is not right. So I believe that perhaps the threads in the head are now stripped from these threads that are not, I don't think they're correct, you know, because they were barely holding on. So let's check this out here. I decided I was going to stop time lapse, but now I see that it wasn't even working. Oh, and by the way, there was no oil in it at all. I tried to get I tried to drain the oil before I took this off to make a mess. Turned it upside down. There was no oil in it whatsoever. So as you can see, it's dry. The guy that was in here probably cleaned out the oil, and he wanted to figure out exactly what I'm figuring out, you know. And yep, even this governor is bent. The plastic governor, these tips here bent. So it created some kind of trauma to this when it blew. And here, let's take a look here. Let's take the cam out. So this is probably worth some money. This looks like a good camshaft. Somebody may need a new camshaft, and the lobes look crisp and good. It says 23 on it. So I'll probably try to sell that. Look at this gasket. This gasket's in good shape. How about it? Oh, because of the key. There's a key here. Sakes. So Woodruff key. That's really in there. Woodruff key is trashed anyway, and I wouldn't need it. I wouldn't need it anyway. So here is the crankshaft. It says 67 on it. The journal is damaged, as you can see. This is a pretty heavy gouge, pretty deep gouge in here. So even muric acid or sandpaper may not be able to fix it. It's pretty deep. I can feel it with my hands. So it's probably out of spec no matter what happens. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. And if you guys need any of these parts, you guys know where to find me. Tappets. And here is the piston. As you can see, the guy came in here, he took out all the bits and pieces of the connecting rod and put it back together again, sort of. But look, it's a good piston. Smoothed here too. Not much, if any, scoring on the piston. So this is a good piston. Has good rings. They move freely. Hardly any carbon buildup here on the top. But that was the problem with this engine, is that it had a blown connecting rod. And I've had Tecumseh engines, horizontal shafts that have been what am I trying to say here? That have blown. I have had it. So Tecumseh engines are not immune to blowing. Two tappets came out. I don't know. I guess I'll try to sell the block, the sump, muffler, the head, flywheel, cam, crank, piston. I don't think I would try to sell this because this recoil starter is actually damaged. See, it might have been due to the engine blowing, maybe not. But yeah, so it's damaged, right? So that's no good. But the recoil starter itself is good, so that might be worth something. I would probably remove this and chuck that. Tins nobody ever wants. Okay, this cup actually sells for some money because look, if you need it and you can't find it, they don't make these things anymore, right? It's money. If they have a bad stator, they could try mine. And if people wanted to keep their engine as stock as possible with the original Tecumseh, here's an original Tecumseh ignition coil, and we know it works. It's been tested. All right, so we figured it out. My mind is at ease. We've got some parts here, and it's definitely interesting. It's definitely interesting to figure out why, you know, because once you pull it, there's no compression. You're like, oh, something's up. You know, it's usually the connecting rod. There are rare times where it's the valves, although, you know, it can happen if the engine's been sitting outdoors a lot and water gets into it and rust, it won't move. So if it doesn't move or seal correctly or seat properly, it's not going to get the correct compression. So, but the way this moved so freely by pulling the recoil starter, I pretty much knew it was the connecting rod because there was like no resistance whatsoever. But yeah, obviously the guy who had this engine before wanted to figure out if it was the connecting rod as well. Took everything apart and he put it back together again and gave it to Nick, who I got this engine from. But like I said, instead of selling this for 30 bucks to that guy locally, I'm pretty sure I can sell the flywheel for more than 30 bucks. Plus the original air cleaner cover, with this part here. People out there in America are looking for that exact one. They want to keep it as original as possible, right? They definitely don't make that part anymore, and that's in really good condition. So, somebody may pay 20, 30, 40, 50 bucks for that, right? And you add up everything here, you definitely make over 100 bucks. I mean, it is a pain in the ass to take pictures and list it and all that stuff, but it's worth it if it sells. And then you have to ship it out and stuff. But I'm used to doing that on a regular basis anyway, because I sell a lot of parts on eBay, because I get a lot of things that, while they don't work, I take them apart. I don't throw away hardly anything, and you can make money off of it. I mean, even recently, I sold something that I've had in my shed for like 5 years, and I never thought I would ever get rid of it, like that, just an example, Cub Cadet grill, right? It bent, rusted, but some nut in America needs it. And so I sold it for like 40 bucks the other day, $10 shipping. So I netted like $25, $28 for something that was sitting in the bushes in my backyard, So there's money to be made as long as you take the time to hold on to it. I know, you got to hold on to it. You got to hold on to it, you got to list it, you got to take pictures of it. It's got to be on eBay. If it's not on eBay, they don't know it exists. You'll never get rid of it unless it's listed. So if you guys got shit lying around, list it somewhere so somebody knows it's out there. If they want it, they'll let you know. You'll get some money for it. Hey, even if it's $5, isn't $5 better than you throwing it away or keeping it in your backyard? Get it out there so people know you have it. Anyway, that's my dismantling of a Tecumseh horizontal shaft HH60 engine. Hopefully we'll get more than 50 bucks for all these parts. I know I will, because that starter's worth like that much at least, Anyway, we'll see you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.
See you guys next time on Mowers and Blowers.